see there's something called wrong timing, because immediately the meals were taken away, free meals for primary schools. Immediately you bring another statement that we are going to refurbish. So that brings a sore taste in the mouth, because it seems like it's exchange between food and there is already an office. We are not able to compare that, okay? And you see, even this story of relocating and immigration, it comes due to wanting to get a stable economy elsewhere. If Africa was to be stabilized, now talking as for Africans, not only Kenya, maybe a majority of us would rather be home. Things like cancer treatment and long-term diseases, that bill is saying that it's going to bring extra tax. Honestly, a disease like cancer leaves people without even food, they sell sometimes even their piece of land. How more can we tax? Welcome to Karaoke Moments for another video that we are bringing you today, whereby we will be discussing about one of the bills that is going on in Kenya, the Finance Bill 2024. This is a bill that has generated a lot of debate, and even it is going through the debates, the usual legislature debates in Parliament. Kenyans have come out in large numbers, whereby a majority of them are opposing for that discussion of that bill to first be stopped and to be discussed further, because there are some controversial clauses that Kenyans are feeling that they are not well thought and it's not for their favor, because as we know, before a bill becomes an act, it needs to go through a parliament, and Kenya is not different from that. So, and the generation that is affected is the Gen Z. You know, as they call themselves, Generation Z or Generation Z. This is a generation that ranges from the mid-90s up to the year 2010 or so, thereabout. This is a generation that is very expressive, is able to bring forward their thoughts without fear, and it has been seen to be doing so and representing their generation. And whereby even as the debates are going through in Parliament, the Kenyan Parliament, they are looking at it as if there's a generation gap. Definitely the generation before them is Generation Y, which is a generation that spans from the 1980s, early 1980s up to the mid-1995, thereabout, which becomes a generation that is before them. And these generations are many. We have Generation Y, we have Generation X, we have generation that comes before them. So this Generation Z is known for their capability of zooming. Maybe that is where they got the word zoom or Z. So Generation Z, they are really dynamic in internet, a lot of dynamic in internet. And a generation that is before them, which is Generation Y, is the one was digital, and it started with digital. And the generation before, we are looking at the behaviors, was the generation whereby it was for their parents, most of them. Generation Z has come out in large numbers to express their dissatisfaction with a lot of firmness. And they had even started talking about it when this bill was debated. Just a little bit history. A Kenyan fiscal year or government year starts from 1st July. So that is why this debate is generating a lot of emotions around this time, because as the government year is coming to the end by June 30th, we need to have discussed that debate, which is going to direct the government on how to generate money, revenue for the year 2024 to 2025, June 30th. So it's going to also direct on how the utilities and the bills are going to use the monies for Kenyans regarding their different budgets, because the budget has already been read. That is why even the Kenyan population knows this is an important time. But as we are saying, why this video is being made is to show how this Gen Z or Generation Z has come out in large numbers. And this is a generation of 20 to 25, maybe a little bit up to 30 years. But this time they are so strong. They voiced themselves. They are saying there are some areas that they are not happy with that debate. They want to be heard. And even by the time this bill, Finance Bill 2024, came into Parliament, they had still shown their dissatisfaction. Fortunately, unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, the bill went through in Parliament, the first one. They still showed their dissatisfaction. It was brought into participation. They still said no. It has gone through. Actually, the day that it was going to go through is when they brought out their anger.
We are here to question the government. Cut on your expenditure. Do not overtax us.
We can't even afford diapers for the kids anymore. There are no vaccines in the hospitals for the children. We need this government to do something, and we can't just be praying all our problems away.
Fighting for our future. We need young people to fight for our future rights, our future Kenya, and to just overthrow this silly government, man. We're tired.
To sit at home so that they are going to pass another finance bill without our approval.
Scrap the entire thing to answer from scratch.
So what is in this bill that is bringing a lot of dissatisfaction in the Kenyan population, a majority of them? This bill, as we get to know about it, it has some insights. As it was initially raw, we had a tax bill that had been brought regarding sale of cars and importation of cars and buying of cars, running of cars, which means including the insurances were increased quite high. And having this, the government that is there came into being not so long. So it just came into being in the year 2022. So in less than 2 years, there about 2 years in August, we are seeing all these differences. Okay, so it came and it has increased the taxes for car sales. Okay, another tax that came is for sanitary use, sanitary wares, including pampers and diapers for babies, sanitary towels for girls and women. It came up as well and it was increased. It also increased the money transfers, which is very common in Kenya and cuts across Kenya, in villages, across cities and towns. Actually, even people in diaspora, we use it to send money back home. So transactions were increased. And actually, for people who are in diaspora, the remittances were even higher, which we are going to be looking at it. So we also look at some areas that were affected by it is for even basic needs like food. The high cost of living has gone so high and wages are still remaining the same, if not even reducing, because when the taxes increases, definitely the incomes will reduce, isn't it? Pay as you earn. When it increases, the wages will be a minimum, meaning the livelihood of a family will be affected. And you know, something like bread is a basic need. And I think this is where this Gen Z has been touched, because bread is so basic that even them in school, maybe in colleges, or even when they start life single from university, this is one of the staple things that they eat. And yes, I remember I was watching something, they were talking about even eating it with eggs. They can't even now afford. It becomes basically even not only their parents who are touched by it, as they just that age group, it's being touched by a basic need. How about sanitary pads? Sanitary pads, as we know, it doesn't know a woman or a lady, a girl who is from the poor will need a sanitary towel just like a rich woman will need it, because it's a biological need. Every other month, every other cycle for a woman to use it. So I think this is where the generations are being cut across. Okay, they felt, no, this is too much. It's affecting them. So, and also, like the monies, as I'm saying, there's a lot of transactions that happens, be it even small figures, sometimes even just buying goods from the shops, or even sometimes even in public service vehicles, PSVs, people use that money to pay for services, even maybe sending money all the way to our grandmothers. It's a service. When you increase it, it means you are targeting those who have and those who do not have, the poor and the rich. So this generation has come up, and it's a generation that when we look at it, we always think, oh, this is a lost generation. This is a generation that is ignorant. And I even saw from the social medias, people telling them, after all, you don't vote. Some of them, actually, it's true. They've never voted. They're just attaining maybe 18 around this time. But they're so empowered because in their generation, it's a generation that questions everything. A little bit. Hold on to that. Have you subscribed to Karaoke Moments? I want to welcome you. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe into our channel, Karaoke Moments, where we discuss life conversations like this one of Finance Bill 2024. Our life conversations are issues that affect us as human beings while we are in this journey. And that is why we have a tagline whereby we say, life is a journey, walk in it. Okay, back to our discussion. We really appreciate if you subscribe. If you have subscribed, continue sharing. Comment in our video. Hey, by the way, what are your thoughts on this Finance Bill 2024? Let's interact in the comment section. When you're a Kenyan, and if you're not a Kenyan, tell us, do you have finance bills? Because every governments are run by them. What can you advise us? What can you say about your country? All right. So back to our Gen Z. We are discussing about this younger generation of below 30, basically, because they're the ones who have come out in numbers excessively more than even we've ever seen. And do you know, they do not even have a political party. I feel like this Gen Z is a movement. They do not even have a leader. Do you know where the forum is? Their forum, they started from TikTok. They started raising their concerns on TikTok, sharing, expressing themselves. There's this discussion of Finance Bill 2024, and they started teaching each other. And you see, we take them for granted. This group, what is amazing, they are the ones that we've worked so hard as Generation X, people of the 60s, 70, 80, most probably, these are our children. We've taken them to good schools. Which means having no boundaries. We've taken them to counties, inter-county schools, from one region to another, meaning they do not even, they are tribeless. When you ask them, even when you see them commenting, they are saying, they make friends even without knowing their surname. And that's a disadvantage right there to us older. Because most of the time, even when you give one of your names, people you want to ask, hey, what is your surname? Because they want to give you a connotation of where you come from. But this generation is more concerned of their welfare, their well-being, because they've gone to school together. They do activities together, like maybe football, they watch together. In the social media, they're doing together. So they came into the TikToks and Facebooks, Instagrams, and all the other social media where they are. They started discussing about it. They started telling themselves, no, this is too much. They have seen their parents suffering when they're trying to get monies to raise funds to take them to school, to take them to universities. They are affected. We think they're not affected. They are. Even when you talk to them, they are affected. Why? Because they are lacking food. They are lacking commodities to use in the house because their parents are not earning enough. They are starting to feel the suffering. They are starting to feel now even their bread is going. Their dignity is being taken away if they can't afford sanitary towels. Even Pampers for the young mothers, they can't afford now when it's increased. Anyway, fair enough. The government tried a little bit, they discussed, and they were able to reduce the taxes of some of those things. And they were able to remove the taxes and bring down some of the taxes like car taxes, sanitary towels, bread, and transaction fees for the mobile money transfer, that is M-Pesa. But there are also other clauses that are being put in between the bills that are suspicious, that are not very clear. And this is especially to someone who is not a legal expert. I put a disclaimer, I am not one of them at all. I'm not a legal expert. What karaoke moments is, it's an interested party of this discussion because I am a Kenyan and it's important. Again, I am an African. It's important to know how it is moving around in Africa continent because when you look at it, today it could be Kenya, but I've seen also other countries also, there could be uprising. I've seen uprising in South Africa, uprising in Zimbabwe, uprising in West Africa, several of the West Africa countries. Senegal, they even got a very, very young president of 44 years. And it is mostly the push of the young ones. To me, I feel hope right there. You know what? There's a generation that is coming and it's not interested with tribes or the riches or the classes. It's more interested with humanity and what they can be able to benefit as a generation. And this is something that we are watching, even the older ones, and we are looking at them. What is important also to the young generation? They might be naive. They might need modeling, especially in areas of leadership, in areas of maybe how to deal with situation, how to be polite, and even how to be self-controlled in emotions. They might be naive, but this is a generation that is not empty. So Gen Z in Kenya decided to go to the streets. And they started as just an expression. They were carrying placards. Because Kenya, it's enshrined in our constitution, the rights of assembly, that is rights of association, rights of picketing and expressing yourself. All that is important, it's for it to be peaceful. Inform the authorities like the police, because actually when you're picketing and doing that, the police need to safeguard you so that anybody with a different idea will not come to distract you. So the police, they give a date, they agree, and they give a date when you're going to go on the street. So it started peacefully, and as the momentum, and I feel like some frustration ended up coming from Kenyans and also from this generation. They decided to go to the street. So they started with placards. They could form their own songs, like even singing. They would run. And it ended up now becoming, even it's water splashes from the securities vehicles, that's the police vehicles.
Yuko kwa gari ndani. Yuko kwa gari ndani. Wamerusha kwa gari ndani yake ile inaenda. Wajua wamerusha kwa matatu ndani.
We are peaceful. Stop
Wamerusha kwa matatu ndani ikipita haki na iko na wateja. Lazima ikuwa watu wameumia kwa matatu waki.
Is becoming now more firm and more involving an exchange? And God forbid, when one of the police, as they were throwing a canister, a young police from their face, as we see him, he lost both of his hands. We wish, as karaoke moments, we want to wish the police officer quick recovery and even comfort to him and his family. We don't condone violence. Our discussions is life conversation. So even to the police officer family, may you receive our mercies and quick recovery wishes to you and your family. Be comforted. So now we also saw the running battles. They started running, and you will see now the enchanting, the exchange, the stone throwing, the bullets, especially the rubber bullets. And unfortunately, as we are discussing this, it's starting to be fatal as per today when we are posting this. And a few people have lost their lives, which is very unfortunate, and we want to condone that is not part of what is expected in a society that is growing. So the parliament, as we said, they went ahead and discussed this. Discussing it, they took further to even wanting to go to a second round, which means the last one will be to vote. Rumors are on the street that monies have been exchanged. I cannot say I have the evidence. We are talking rumors on the street say that. And that is even as they are carrying, because they are saying if people can be given money and quite some amount of money, the members of parliament, they feel they're already compromised. So it became even ugly now. They stormed. It's starting now to become destructive. They stormed the parliament buildings of Kenya. A huge number, massive number of youths. They stormed the parliament. They broke it through the gates. They went in. Photos are circulating of them eating food in Parliament lounge or cafeteria. We would see them even drinking, having the drinks that are in those buildings, walking around in Parliament. It's such a sad state. They were bringing down the flags and just being quite an abhorrent moment, and watching just a sad state of affairs and the battles that are going on. We have seen even some members of parliament who are hurt, they are bleeding. Citizens are bleeding, they are being hurt. And at karaoke moments, we are stopping to ask ourselves, is there a better way that some of these things can be sorted? One of the things that I want to say even here, Kenyans are not the only ones who pay taxes. Even foreigners like us in the countries that we live in, I get taxed here in the UK without being asked a question. The difference here is the accountability and transparency in countries that are well governed. The governance helps you not even to complain, because you'll see papers being picked from your estate. You'll see the bins, the waste bins being picked. All you need is to pay. You'll even be supplied for at a fee the bins, but you'll see them being picked. You don't need to feel like you're begging. The environments, the communities have a mandate of keeping it clean. When you go and you're walking around, you will see the responsibility. The campaigns here are more like employment based. Maybe that is why it doesn't attract a lot of people who are not having very good books, because you're put on the weighing scale, you'll be asked questions, you'll be tasked, you are asking again for re-election. What have you done for us for the past 4 years? And they will be wanting to see what you're doing. And your moralities will also be in question, including just things that we think back in developing countries, they are like lying is not a very big thing, or lack of integrity. Here, when you're even known in the UK here, when you're known for lack of integrity, you even resign before. You even resign because you know it's not a norm for you to tell people to follow the rule and you're not. But we are wondering, our monies that we are being taxed in Kenya, what is the transparent and accountability? Are we able to share with Kenyans and help them understand we are taxing you this amount of money? Because when you walk into the hospital, you will have a baby and deliver a baby for free. Not saying you will do it, because we have seen people getting stuck in those maternity hospitals, having gone in there, and now they can't even afford. Their husbands cannot afford. Their families cannot afford. But we've seen countries that function. When you walk in, you go, maybe you pay for maybe just a prescription, very small fee, but you'll go to pharmacy, you'll get your medication. Medication is there. You won't be met with this story of, oh, we don't have medication. We even sometimes medication, even the simplest, as simple as paracetamol, are not there. So now, how will this Kenyan be willing to pay the taxes? But if there was a course to show that, yes, we are taxing you bread because you are going to walk to a hospital and you're going to find there's medication. You're going to find doctors, not doctors on strike. You're going to walk on a tarmac road. You're going to have water, electricity, everything available. Some of our countries in Africa are struggling even to get basic needs like food, like even maybe the exchange rate has really been defeated. And this, when we are talking with love. We are not here to shame any country. We are here to learn and to ask ourselves, how can we be able to become countries that are responsible? Because some of the bills, for example, that in Kenya that have left people with some sour taste in the mouth is when, for example, something like land, hidden with so many words, as we are saying, not everybody is a legal expert. But when it's pulled to be given a summary to a person as lay as me, you know how Kenyans will say to Wanjiko or to Atieno, to a basic person. We are being told that land, it's going now to go back to the government as on leasehold, not freehold. That after 99 years, the government can take away your land. How about inheritance land that we know we've inherited from great-grandfathers? What is going to happen, okay? How about the lands that we have bought and we have used our monies? Some people even work so hard within that country or even who are abroad to invest back at home. How are you encouraging people who are in diaspora to even want to own then property? Because our houses back at home will be taxed. We are told now land will be taxed. Where you have built your house will be taxed. I think this will become too much. That is why we are saying it's not only the new generation, the younger generation, Generation Z, or that is not happy, even the maturer ones, because we are feeling it. We are also being told that the meals that were being given to schools, especially those ones that cannot afford meals, they are being taken away and being substituted to refurbishing like politician offices. One of them, we understand the deputy president house or offices are going to be refurbished. And you see, there's something called wrong timing. Because immediately the meals were taken away, free meals for primary schools, immediately you bring another statement that we are going to refurbish. So that brings a sore taste in the mouth because it seems like it's exchange between food and there is already an office. We are not able to compare that, okay? Things like cancer treatment and long-term diseases, that bill is saying that it's going to bring extra tax. Honestly, a disease like cancer leaves people without even food, they sell sometimes even their piece of land. How more can we tax? These are some of the things we are saying, let's sober up. Kenya is ours all. It's for the poor, for the rich, and things like diseases, they don't even choose. It will come to the highest and the mightiest of a country to the lowest. So when we are doing these things, we are not just doing it because we want to be hooligans and maybe people of the lower cadre, but it's just because we are looking for equity and in a way that we can be able to survive. For example, overseas money. Now, when remittances are going to be increased, how are people abroad going to invest back at home? The little money we send, school fees, supporting our sick maybe parents or relatives or friends, the buildings maybe people overseas build. Unless we come to a stop because the remittances, when they increase, how are we going to do that? That is not very progressive. That is where we need to look at it and be able to help everyone to feel comfortable. Slow down. There's no urgency. We can slow down Parliament, be able to discuss because these distractions are becoming a little bit now even worrying. look at the consequences that this lack of listening and discussion has brought. Number one, it has brought protests and demonstrations that are, initially it was a request to talk. Now they are becoming chaotic. These discussions are becoming chaotic and fearful. Some people are not even going to work. They are scared to go to work. Children going to school. Injuries is another thing that is being brought by this. People are being injured. And you know what? We saw even members of parliament, when the youth decided to go into parliament, God forbid, I don't even know how they managed to do that. I know the Parliament of Kenya and how it's guarded. I don't know how they managed to do that. But imagine they went in and they even hurt. We've seen photos in the internet. They hurt them. Please, we need to sober up. Another consequence of not wanting to discuss. This generation has come together through the massive, and now it's causing trauma. Because you can see the trauma when they're running around every time screaming. It might seem as if it's fun, but it's going to get deep into themselves. How about people who are watching on television, even our children? They are looking at it as a very destructive kind of a generation, which who are they going to emulate? Surely we need to sober up, and all this will bring to poverty, because those houses that are being broken into. Okay, for example, the parliament, or we don't have a parliament. The governor's house has already been affected. How are they going to go to? Maybe more money will be required to build those buildings. Where are we going to get the monies now? And already we wanted more money, God forbid. Lack of country stability. Like now, even the way it's being portrayed, you can imagine everybody is saying, oh, even us out here, have you seen what is happening in Kenya? It's just bringing down our name. We need to be stable. Investors are also worried, and we even saw a company winding up because internet don't cheat. We are reading, we are interested in our country, we are watching, and it brings hopelessness, lawlessness. You find people are now even feeling hopeless, drinking more, maybe getting into immorality, feeling hopeless. And you see, even this story of relocating and immigration, it comes due to wanting to get a stable economy elsewhere. If Africa was to be stabilized, now talking as for Africans, not only Kenya, maybe a majority of us would rather be home, looking at our aging parents, investing in our countries, being able to go into our schools, teach in our schools, doctors in our hospitals, accountants working in our banks and everything. But due to this instability and our countries belonging to only a few top creams, it's making a lot of people relocate. And even when they relocate, sometimes we don't relocate to come and do what we are qualified for. Honestly, sometimes we relocate and come and work and look for jobs, not even according to our papers, but just to make ends meet. Our government, we are requesting, let's sober up, let's calm down, let's be able to think about it. These deaths are starting, it's too much. I remember during the post-election violence in 2007, 2008, it was such a disgrace to see. We had to wait until the international bodies had to come and calm it. We are mature enough. We can calm ourselves. We can sober up. We are calling for all our leaders. Churches, let's not be quiet, because the same church members are the same voters. We need to start to voice ourselves. We need to start being seen, to be supportive of being able to calm down and reject what is bringing issues to our country, issues to our African continent, issues that we need to have a bold generation that, like this Gen Z, is coming up. Also, we need to moderate and being able to be good mentors that we can be able to call them upon. We are hopeful. We are watching our country and we are praying for our country that we are going to sober up and bring this menace to an end and be able to move forward. We want to thank you so much for having been with us, and we want to welcome you to subscribe if you haven't. If you have, we want to ask you to keep on commenting, keep on liking, keep on sharing, so that we can be able to keep on growing as Karaoke Moments family. We love you. Till next time, God bless you. Thank you.